Hi there and welcome to Covey Fabrics DIY channel. My name is Amy and I'm visiting you today from Artisan Upholstery Studio right here on YouTube. Today I'm going to show you how to make capped dining seats. So those are dining seats which have a little border on them, a little bit harder than the simple slip seats that I showed you in a previous video. Go check that video out. So this one has a little bit of sewing involved and it makes a nice square seat. And we're going to put these seats on some really cute mid-century swivel chairs. This is the Covey fabric that I'm working with today. It's a faux sheepskin, but it's made of polyester. It's really thick and easy to work with, very forgiving, and really cool and trendy right now. So first I'm taking the bases off these chairs. I'm just undoing the screws to take the back and the base off. So you're going to have to remove all the old staples to get the old fabric off. So I use a special tool for removing the staples, and I also use slip joint pliers to get the staples out of the wood. But also it works to just rip the fabric right out of the plywood, and sometimes this is the only tool that you actually need. I'm going to just take the old fabric off, and you can see that it's open at the back. It's not sewn completely shut, and I'm going to show you how and why we did that in a minute. So I'm going to use the plywood to cut the pattern for the fabric. I'm going a ½ inch wider than the plywood base, and that's to allow for a ½ inch seam allowance when we're sewing the border on. And of course we have 2 chairs, so I'm cutting 2 seat panels. So next I'm measuring for the border. I'm measuring the width of the border and the height of the border. So I'm giving myself a generous 1.5 inches higher. So if it's 3 inches, I'm cutting it 4.5 inches. And the fabric is 54 inches wide, and the seat border is going to be about 60. So I have to cut 3 borders in order to sew a bit onto each side so that it's enough to go all the way around. So as you can see, this border doesn't quite make it all the way around. So I'm going to add a piece to each border so that they're both long enough to go around the panels. So you can see that if I rub it, the seam kind of disappears, but it's not going to matter anyway because that's going to be hidden by the chair back. So this is going to get sewn onto the panel, and this is going to be the back, which we're going to leave open because it will be easier to put it onto that plywood base with it open. So you can see that we've added some, so it's got lots to go all the way around, and we can actually trim it down now because we have too much. And I'm just sewing it right to those panels. I'm not going to bother stapling it on first. It's a nice easy stitch all the way around. The fabric is very forgiving, and it's going to be nice and easy. You do want to be careful to get right around the corners. You want your seams to line up really nicely, and just ease it around the corners and get those nice round edges. So now we're at the back, and I'm going to cut the piece again. So this is cutting it to size now, and I'm giving it that fold over for a nice finished edge at the back of the chair. And I'm just sewing over all of the layers at once, close up the seam, and you'll be able to see here at the back how nicely this is going to look once it's all stapled down. So it's nice and it's raw on that edge, and here it's finished and closed up. So it's going to be a nice tight edge at the back there with no raw edges showing. So once you have your fabric pulled on and centered, you can start by stapling the two front corners and then pulling it nice and tight to the back corners, getting everything all smoothed out. And then you can secure the back corners as well. So this is 4 staples that you're starting with, 1 in each corner, and you're making sure that the top is nice and smooth. Get out all the wrinkles and make sure it's nice and tight. So we're looking for a 3-inch border, and you can measure it or you can just eyeball it. This fabric is very forgiving. I did measure it and made sure that it's 3 inches all the way across, but you can also tell by where the fabric is laying on the bottom of the plywood here. If it's nice and even, then it should be nice and even where the seam is as well. your finishing at the back, and that will allow you to close it up nicely without any puckers. Like I said, the fabric is it's already very forgiving, but having that opening at the back just makes it that much easier to finish it off nicely. So we're going to put a bottom liner on these chairs. It just finishes off nicely and makes sure that none of those little bits will fall off onto the floor from the edge of the fabric. It's just going to make a nice, clean, finished look. So these are our super trendy, super cool mid-century swivel chairs with faux shearling. I think they look awesome. I hope you do too.